The Russia-Ukraine conflict and China-US relations were key points discussed by Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Joe Biden in a 2-hour video call on Friday. Beijing said the call came at Biden's request. It is their first direct conversation since November and the first since the fighting in Ukraine began more than 3 weeks ago.
On China-US ties, President Biden reiterated that the U.S. does not seek a new Cold War with China and does not aim to change China's system. He added that Washington's efforts to strengthen its other alliances are not targeted at China. Biden also said the U.S. does not support so-called Taiwan independence and that it wishes to avoid conflict with China. He added that the U.S. is ready to have candid dialogue and closer cooperation with China, stay committed to the One China policy, and manage competition to ensure bilateral ties grow in a steady manner. President Xi said he shared President Biden's view that China and the U.S. need to respect each other, coexist in peace, and avoid confrontation. Xi noted that some people in the U.S. have sent a wrong signal to forces pushing for Taiwan's independence and called such actions very dangerous. The Chinese president said the steady growth of China and the U.S. ties is in the interest of both sides. He called for an increase in communication at all levels between the world's top two economies in order to keep differences under control.
President Xi and Biden exchanged views on bilateral and regional challenges. Our White House correspondent Nathan King has the details.
There is so much in this bilateral relationship, but Ukraine, of course, dominating very much the discussions. Remember, the White House here has pointed the finger at Moscow and Beijing, saying Moscow's approached China for support militarily. Both capitals denied it. President Xi talked about in their joint responsibilities for peace. As permanent members of the UN Security Council and the world's two leading economies, China and the US must not only guide their relations forward along the right track, but also shoulder their share of international responsibilities and work for peace and tranquility. Beijing has hit back at the pointed finger of Washington and basically said, look, you don't seem to be much involved in these peace processes between Russia and Ukraine, which may be getting somewhere. You've seen the shift in the various positions, especially on joining NATO. And in fact, that's the second bit of China saying, look, this didn't happen in a vacuum. NATO's eastward expansion since the end of the Cold War has been criticized from every Russian president, from Yeltsin to Putin, and by a lot of Western policymakers who know a lot about Russia.
Earlier, we talked to Victor Garl, chair professor at Soochow University, and asked him more about the talks.
First of all, I think the call was very important, especially when the world seems to be in great turmoil right now. And for the leaders of the two largest economies in the world, two of the most important and powerful countries in the world, to communicate directly is very helpful. Now, secondly, both leaders had a chance to present their views about what's going on in Ukraine, and their views apparently do not align with each other completely. And China had a chance to present its views and conclusions, and China emphasized the importance of peace, of negotiations, seeking an end to the war as quickly as possible. And China also seemed to project the message that China will not cave into any kind of pressure. And I think the soundness of China-Russian trade and economic relations, which have been going on for more than 33 years in a row, ever since their normalization, should not be thrown a big wedge into it. So I think China has successfully conveyed to the United States the image and the sound of sanity, rationality, and logic in looking at the merits of each of the strands involved in the very complicated Ukrainian situation.